right, so a very warm welcome everyone to the first session of the B2B frontrunners. Well, we're just starting right now, so while everyone is dropping in, we have an interesting news article that we want to share with you. It's actually about a very small but funny test taken by lots of people. It went viral actually. About 1.5 million people filled in this test. And it really shows that the latest generation of new AI intelligence systems are very smart and are almost indistinguishable from humans actually. So about 1.5 million people either talk to another human person or to an AI bot. And after a 2-minute conversation, they had to guess whether the person they were talking to was an actual human or an AI bot. And the funny thing was that lots of people couldn't really guess whether they were talking to a human or to an AI bot. So when they were talking to an AI bot, about 60% of the people guessed wrong whether they were talking to an AI bot. So it's about 50-50, which is, it could be a coin flip as well. The funny thing was that some of the tactics people used to discover whether it was an AI bot, it was very funny to read the tactics that they used. They either looked for grammatical errors, which is fine because you would guess that AI bots don't really make any grammar mistakes. They asked some personal questions to them. And next to that, they also tried to spell words in a very strange way. So they, for example, spelled their words backwards because they thought that AI bots wouldn't guess what the word is backwards, but human would. And they acted like a bot themselves, which was actually funny because that could make the other person guess you were an AI bot as well. So I would really recommend to take the test as well. It's about a 2-minute test, and you can do it at humanornot.ai. It's very funny and very interesting to see whether you can guess if you're talking to an AI bot or not. And also really taps into current discussions, whether you should know if you're talking to a bot or if there should be any kind of mark or copy or like copyright when you're talking to AI or seeing AI stuff. So very interesting and a recommendation. So I think lots of people already are in the session. Welcome to everyone who already tapped into the first session of the B2B Frontrunners community. And to formally open the session, I want to pass the floor to Gerrit from Intershop, who is going to welcome you to the B2B Frontrunners community.
Yes, thank you very much. Welcome everybody. It's really great to have you all here today. We are with a big group, so we are really excited. And as the head of sales and marketing within Intershop, I couldn't be happier to kick off this B2B Frontrunners community. Maybe some of you remember a few years back, we started a group of B2B digital experts in the Benelux, and we organized company visits, workshops, and shared a lot of valuable content. And the response was incredible, and everyone involved really loved it. But then Corona hit, and unfortunately, our initiative had to take a backseat, unfortunately. But we learned our lesson during the pandemic, and one of the things that really became crystal clear is that the need for connection, of course, and sharing knowledge and collaborating in the B2B space. This has never been more important than now, we think. So let me try it. It's the first time that we use the slides, so let's dive into the slides. So this community is all about empowering and inspiring. One slide back, sorry for that. It's all about empowering and inspiring. So sophisticated and high performance B2B organizations like you are invited for these sessions. And now try to get next slide. We have got some amazing things lined up for you today, but also in the next sessions to come. Exclusive content, industry insights, and also a collaborative space where you can share your questions, your ideas, your use cases, experiences, etc. Really to share knowledge and to supercharge your business. So what can you expect from this awesome community? Well, latest industry insights, of course, data-driven intelligence, the session of today. We will also organize face-to-face sessions with regional dinners. Of course, the different topics. We also shared a white paper about those topics, so you can already read a little bit into it. And if you have anything to share on those topics, please make yourself known, of course, and we will invite you for one of the sessions, because This community is all about you. Your success and the successes of this community depend on your active involvement. So let's come together, collaborate like champions, and redefine what is really possible in the B2B world. Before I wrap up, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to our founding partners who helped to make this possible. Because without them, their support, this would not have been possible to develop such an interesting program. So again, I want to thank you all for being here today. Your presence speaks really with volumes, speaks dedication, and so together we want to shape the future of B2B, and let's inspire each other and make us all proud of being part of this B2B frontrunners community. Thank you all, and let's rock this journey together.
You are to start the session, so let's get started right away. Welcome everyone. My name is Jill from Customer Journey Experts, and I will be the moderator during today's session. So for the agenda today, we have a very exciting agenda planned out for you. We're going to start with a small community introduction, since this is the first session, so we kind of want to give you information about what we're going to do and what you can expect the coming time during the sessions and the online environment. Then Arjen from Customer Journey Experts will give an introduction to the topic, which is data-driven intelligence. Then we have a very interesting use case from the nieuwe zaak from Jarola. Then we're going to have André from Zanika tell us something about his customer case. And we have two experts from Intershop who are going to give their view on the topic. And then we'll wrap up the session and look forward to the next session. So let's get started right away. First, a little bit about the community itself. So we have a few goals in mind with the community, which is about staying ahead of the curve. And it's very important that we want to help you to really get that head start and really start with the community to make the most out of it. So that's also why we want to give it a place to bring everyone really together and really open up the conversation. So we want to host a platform where you can start a conversation with each other and where... oh, I had to click through myself. All right, thanks. A little bit of a misunderstanding with the slides. But that's why we also created the community for you, where we're going to bring three parts together, which is first the SharePoint community portal. I think most of you who signed up for the community also received the logged in details for the community portal. And there you will see weekly news updates. You will have access to the session recordings. You can prepare for the sessions there, and we're also going to ask you for your valuable input about the sessions. We share updates with each other. And coming week, there will also be a member and conversation pages. And those are the pages where you can really connect with the other people who are part of the B2B Frontrunners community, where you can start a conversation with each other. And that's really what we want to encourage with the platform as well. So next to the SharePoint community portal, we have 7 interactive sessions, of which this is the first one. And in this interactive session, it's very important to share research with each other. We have guest speakers, we have very interesting use cases. And we really want to hear from you as well. So if you have a question for the speakers, or if you have a question about the topic, do not hesitate to post them in the chat. We're going to either answer them after the presentations, and if they are not handled within the session, we will answer them in the SharePoint community portal after the session. So your question will be dealt with in either way. And we also wrote a discussion paper, which is the groundwork for all the sessions that we're going to have. So I really want to recommend to read the white paper as well, to really deep dive into the topic and get a head start on what the community sessions will be about. So on that note, I also want to pass the floor to Arjen, who's going to give us an introduction about the topic from today.
Thank you very much, Jill, for your introduction, and I'm also excited to be here today. Today is the first session, and actually it is linked to the first chapter of what the leaders in B2B are talking about. It's about empowering B2B growth with data-driven intelligence. And I will kick off with the strategic perspective. Why are we actually here talking about data and data in B2B? That's actually because when you look at B2C and B2B commerce, that is in evolution. You see that we come from a world where first the milkman, the baker, and the grocer had a personal contact with their customers. We saw that evolving into hypermarkets, and now we're in a phase where we are pretty much used to omnichannel retail. All of that is driven by underlying technology. Without an escalator or an elevator, you would never have been able to get to the first, second, or third floor of a department store. Without internet, we wouldn't have had e-commerce, and without mobile and smartphones, that wouldn't have lifted off as it did. And looking at the technology developments, you can also kind of predict what is going to happen. From that personal age to the mass distribution age, we're now entering the personal age where interaction gets really personal, based on your personal and individual profile. What we're used in Netflix, in Facebook, in TikTok, in Spotify. Environments that are created based on your interaction, based on the data you generate during the interaction with these platforms. And actually, what we now see happening is with ChatGPT is that we are entering the next phase, because ChatGPT is not just a phenomena in itself. It is a combination of large language models, generative AI, and conversational technology. So based on that, you can predict that our interactions with websites, with apps, are going to be conversational in their character. And if we zoom in on that, then we're currently in the phase where we, pretty much swipe or click with websites. Pre-structured environments where there's limited choice in bringing in your own interpretation. You have to follow the setup of the one that created the website. We see that now there are chatbots, and up till ChatGPT, that wasn't, mainly FAQ-based chats, and if you were lucky, the chatbot could understand more than very simple questions. But given the arrival of ChatGPT and the large language models, what we will see is that interaction, that conversational interaction, will be more dominant, and that will take over a part of the standard navigation. And eventually that will evolve into assistance, personal assistance for yourself that handle tasks that you don't want to do, or where you just support you in doing that, as well as assistance in companies and in websites of companies. We further envision how that can work out, and if you see here, you can zoom in on what it will mean for navigation. On the left part, you see the click-based interaction we're used to. And on the right-hand side, you see a interactive conversation screen that actually uses all the data from the customer to anticipate what they're looking for. So you're going to hike, then this might be the right tent for you. That information is based on your previous interactions, on your profile, and is actually unstructured. You can ask whatever you want, and the system will respond. The next phase will be that conversational interface will be more or less the main part of the site, and will generate the products you're asking for. And that makes perfect sense, because if you imagine that you want to select a pair of white jeans, now you have to find the right click in the gender, then in the product type, then in the color. So before you are at the product, you actually have a lot of clicks that you make. Whereas in a conversational situation, it's just asking for, I want a white pair of jeans, skinny fit in size 34. That will make life for consumers a lot easier. And in a kind of data perspective, it means that next to the structured click data, you also need all that conversational unstructured data, and have to work with it. And those of you that use ChatGPT know that it's not only the amazing user interface it has, but that you can also look back all your conversations you had with the machine, and it will also be able to start that conversation where it left off. So that means, in terms of data, that data has to remain available, but also that customers have control. They can keep track of the conversations they had, and they can throw them away. For journeys, that means that the initial journey, where a lot of companies focus on, especially in the B2C arena, that is actually the first step in the process, but that it gets more interesting if people return. If you get their ID and can identify them upon their new visit, and you enrich their profile, not only with the click data, but also with the personal data, so that you can personalize that interaction increasingly better, and can add loyalty elements to it, not just point savings programs, but also more emotional based perks and benefits. If you've done that, then the concept of personalization is actually pretty easy as a concept, not in practice. Based on the profile of the customer, you can target your content as soon as you identify them. But you also have to have in place the KPIs on which you target your content. What do you want to achieve with that customer? Do you want to sell them more, or do you want to enrich their profile, or do you want to work on their satisfaction with your product? So it gets increasingly complicated. And why would you do that? Why is this all so important? Well, it is explained in this graph. This is the Journey Experience Index, and what you see in the top end right side are Amazon, Zalando and Walmart. And what you see is on the vertical axis, it is actually the quality of their interactions during the journey. On the horizontal axis, you see the level of channel integration, and the size of the dot is the level of personalization. And what we see in our research is that those companies at the top and right side are developing faster and innovating faster, and actually are increasing the gap with the average market. And they also are more successful and growing faster because they discovered, as all CRM involved players know, that loyal customers spend more, develop better over time, and buy in more categories. The other thing is that it gets increasingly expensive to reach new audiences. Given the fact that we've got the third-party regulation in place soon, it gets increasingly difficult and more expensive to attract new audiences. What does it take to actually take advantage of this data-driven logic? That has to do with your organization. ChatGPT and all the outburst of technology development we see right now only represent 30% of getting AI driven. All research shows that in becoming real customer-centric and data-driven, 70% lies within your organization. And that requires that instead of working in the silos, you have to work holistically. All departments have to operate together. Advanced personalization and use of data is not the domain of UX designers or marketing departments or the communication people in your organization. It is actually necessary that that becomes part of your organization DNA. And these slides, these documents will be the guiding principles for all of that, because this is the legislation, and all of you that attended well have seen that last week in the European Parliament the AI Act passed, and that determines how you can use AI in personalization, in interaction with your customers. So, advanced personalization, data-driven B2B is not the domain of the marketing and communication people, but needs to be in the heart of organizations. So you have to convince everybody in your organization that that data is that important, that customer focus is that important. And that is also stipulated with the outcome of the poll we invited you to fill out. On the question how data-driven you are, we see that only, about 34% says that they're very data-driven. And in relation to the previous story, that is really a challenge. As data is becoming so dominant, that 34% is worrying. And actually, that's pretty much reflected in what you feel about how much more important it is going to be. That is where 91% says that that will be very important in the next years. And we very much believe so, that is the case.
All right, so thanks a lot, Arjen. I think it really clearly shows all the developments that are going on, how important data-driven intelligence is becoming, and also all the exciting things that are still ahead of us and are still to come. So I think that also really lays a good foundation for our next speakers, who are going to dive more into the practical side of data-driven intelligence. And that's why I also want to welcome Frank and Martijn from the Nieuwe Zaak.
Yes, thank you, Jill. I want to click, but nothing is happening. Yes, there we go. So as Jill mentioned, so we are gonna briefly dive into the case of Jarola and how we achieve data-driven B2B growth at Jarola. Very briefly, the agenda is as such that first we will briefly introduce ourselves, and then after introducing ourselves, we will very briefly touch upon some overarching frameworks we use to stress the importance of data in B2B growth. And after that, the most interesting part starts, in which Martijn will guide you into how this works in practice in terms of using data to structurally monitoring success, using A/B testing as the first phase, and then in phase 2 and phase 3, using data more and more for automation and in the end personalization, also in line with the story Arjen just told. And in the end, if you have any questions or remarks, please hold them until the end, and then we can answer them as well. So a very short introduction of Jarola and of the Nieuwe Zaak. There's a slight delay, yes. So preferably we would have been here not only with me and Martijn, but also with our direct, I was about to say actually colleague, but our direct person from Jarola, which we are working with very closely, which is Thomas, who is the product owner of digital applications within Jarola and responsible for the web shop and the app within their company. But unfortunately for us, and fortunately for him, he is enjoying his time on a short holiday in Italy. So we're gonna share all really nice examples that he's actually putting into practice at Jarola. Who am I then? So my name is Frank Baker. I am a digital strategist at Jarola, at the Nieuwe Zaak, and in that role, I'm also one day a week at Jarola to help them making decisions within the digital domain, to help them decide what the next step is in their digital development, and making concrete how they're gonna achieve their goals in terms of developing as a company. Because one thing that is really important for me as a person is on the one hand, I'm endlessly curious to all kind of new things, but on the other hand, I'm also always stressing what the added value of it is, and trying to make concrete how can we actually achieve value rather than keeping it at vague statements. So I'm doing the presentation together with Martijn. Maybe he can introduce himself very briefly, if that is okay.
Yes, yeah, you can see me now as well. I'm Martijn, over 10 years of experience in digital marketing. So I worked at several retailers and also in consultancy for a while, and now at the Nieuwe Zaak for almost 3 years now. Background in marketing, but also in management control, so more the accountability part. So I think especially in regard to the data-driven approach, that's a nice combination. And previously at Worldcomp and in the Gamma, and in my opinion, it's always important to achieve objectives, but never never lose the end customer out of sight. So always keep providing value and go for the best solutions, and don't cut corners. That's me. And then Frank can take it over again.
So who is Jarola, or as you can see here, who is Worldcomp? Because that is their main retail brand for B2B commerce. So Worldcomp is a technical wholesaler who's servicing construction companies, gardeners, recreational facilities, and traditional farmers within the Netherlands, with all kinds of solutions within water management, electronical applications, and air and ventilation. They're doing this basically from their physical stores. They have almost over 50 physical stores within the Netherlands. But besides the physical stores, which form a really important part of their service, they have invested heavily the past 10 years in trying to widen the amount of channels they offer, with a really good web shop or online portal. And for the past couple of years, they've also added a mobile app to basically being able to service their customers in any way possible, fitting the needs of their customers. And that the development within the digital environment, that is actually where we, as the Nieuwe Zaak or DNZ, came in, as we have been helping them taking the next step within the digital environment. And what we do as a company, we help firms throughout the entire customer journey, starting with digital strategy, or what is the goal where companies want to go, but also actually making sure that there is a really nice web shop or online portal where customers can order. We make sure that customers actually get to know a specific company by using brand campaigns and performance marketing. And we do this for companies who are in search for conversions, but also companies in search for more leads or for more valuable employees. We've been doing this for the past 20 years for B2C and B2B retailers within the Netherlands. Worldcomp you already saw, but for another example of a B2B retailer is Heutink, who is one of the larger school suppliers in the Netherlands. And in the B2C market, we, for example, service Studio Andalus, which is the premium women apparel brand within the Netherlands. We try to help these companies growing step by step, not trying to aim for hyper-personalization in the first phase, but step by step becoming more relevant, more tailored toward their customers, by first making sure that all channels are serviced, then trying to segment those channels or segment the experience, and only then starting with personalization or even prescriptive or predictive marketing. And this means more relevance, more automation, but also a higher dependency on data. To make these steps, we believe in balanced growth, meaning you not only need a good tooling or smart people in a team, but you also have to organize those people. You have to divide the budgets accordingly to the phase that you're in. You need a proper brand and good content to actually communicate with your customers. And one of the most important pillars of the growth, of digital growth, is data, having the right data and being able to use that within your company. Because at the NIWSA, we truly believe in data-driven, that it is the standard. And it is a standard in a sense that it gives you insights in how you're going and how you're progressing on achieving your goals. But it's also elementary in being able to understand your customers and personalize your communication, as Arjen also mentioned before. We not only believe in this, well, there's plenty of scientific research showing that data-driven provides value to customers. And as a former scientist, I really believe in scientific research to basically drive choices you are making. And one of these papers also state that adopting and using dashboards already increases average weekly revenues. But it's not only a matter of giving insights and dashboarding and doing smart and insightful analyses. That always is the first phase, I would say. But besides doing smart analyses and besides giving insights within your company, which enables you to improve your service, data also helps in automating processes. For example, within marketing, but also within search or within the purchasing department. So in general, I would say data provides value in two ways. On the one hand, by giving analyses, and on the other hand, by automating decisions. Yeah, as I was just saying. So now the most interesting part starts, because Martijn will show you how this works in practice at Jarola or Worldcomp, and how they are using data within in their day-to-day business.
Yes, so the exciting part starts now. Let me quickly introduce you to the main goals of Worldcomp and Jarola. Like most retailers, there are of course revenue-based goals. So in the short term, they focus on revenue. So they want to generate traffic to their platform. They want to convert the traffic, and likely or hopefully they also let those customers purchase as much as they can. But in the long term, they believe the continuity, they can keep existing if they have satisfied customers. So their main goal for long term is customer satisfaction, and they do that by constantly improving customer experience with data, but also providing the least the solution with the least friction to order at Worldcomp. So the long term goal of customer satisfaction is always leading when making decisions for Worldcomp, and I think that's very positive. And like we just told you, we're gonna give you some examples how we work data driven, and in our opinion, like the most standard thing you can do is by putting up these in dashboarding. So in dashboarding, you can see real time the data of your marketing channels, how they're performing against target, but also against last year, for example, if that's relevant. So you can get a good overview and an easy overview of if your business is currently on track. And for most of our clients, we do this for the main KPIs. So revenue, sessions, conversion rate, order value, those kind of things. So you can quickly monitor the progress, see if anything lags behind, and if we have to take action. But at the same time, it enables us to seize opportunities if they arise. It's a competitive market, so having real-time data enables us to be very flexible in how we run the business. And this makes us very agile. And in the bottom of the dashboarding, we usually have a breakdown towards the specific marketing channels to even be able to more easily pinpoint any problems or opportunities if they arise. So this gives a lot of control in running the business, and it's a shareable file, I could almost say tool, which multiple users at the agency, at Worldcomp and Jarola, can use to monitor the progress. So that's very, very valuable since you have a single source of truth you can all look at, and because it contains the targets, we always know if we're overperforming or underperforming. So that's the basics for us. But if we want to use data also to optimize the website, so the Worldcomp platform is built on Intershop, and we're currently A/B testing, and you can come up with thousands of A/B tests just based on psychological principles. But we usually start with diving into the data, just analyzing the funnel, analyzing the website, and see which insights we can come up with. So we can also account for those optimizations we're going to do with a decent, with decent data to back it up. So when we have done the analysis and at least insights and possible A/B testing, A/B test ideas, this results in a roadmap where we plot the issues and projects we're going to do into a roadmap. So that makes it very predictable, and also gives control over your process to efficiently roll out your A/B tests, but also to be able to look into the future to see what's coming and what we have to do in advance. So this is an easy way to optimize your website for most users, since the one-size-fits-all approach, but it's data-driven to constantly make optimizations for relevant KPIs. And another thing to use data is by tools with algorithms that can optimize automatically. So Worldcomp uses Attract, or at least it's called Attract now, but formerly Threadhopper, to optimize their on-site search and merchandising. So what we see in the data is that we always think people go to the navigation and follow the route we made for them, but in practice they usually go to the on-site search option straight away, which can be like 50, 60, or 70% plus, and search for the products or categories they want to buy. So having a decent on-site search can make a huge impact on the performance of your platform. And by using Threadhopper, we're able to boost the on-site search module with data. So it has an algorithm behind it that shows the most relevant search results based on all the data that has been provided throughout the platform. So making on-site search much more efficient. And of course, it's an algorithm, so I think we don't have an influence on it. But in the back end of Threadhopper, there's also a ranking cocktail, which we can influence and tweak to get the best results out of on-site search. So these are quite easy steps with huge impact, but based on data that every retailer should be able to use. There are multiple options to optimize this, but don't underestimate the importance of your on-site search and merchandising. And when we go to actually making unique customer experiences and customer journeys, we usually use customer data platforms. So at Worldcomp, we use Squeezely, which is one of the customer data platforms we work with. And what a customer data platform does is it combines data, it gathers data from multiple sources, which can be on-site or marketing channels, and bundles them into one customer profile, which makes it easier to segment or personalize on-site or in marketing channels. So this is more elaborate to implement, and you should really clearly think about which package you're going to implement. But it allows so many more options to build a tailor-made customer experience that is hugely valuable if your data is in order and you want to set a next step in marketing and personalization. So this is one of the examples you can use this personalized experience with. So at Worldcomp, there are multiple customer segments they have, and they can be quite different. So you, for example, have farmers, you have technicians, you have construction workers, all with completely different needs and product assortments they're purchasing. So what we can do with the customer data platform is segment based on purchase behavior or the customer segment they're a part of, and send, in this case, the example you see is a pop-up that is shown only to the technicians. So if we recognize somebody as a technician, we show them a relevant message. If you're a construction worker, you don't see this because it's not relevant for you. So you don't disturb that customer journey and create additional friction. Whereas for the technician, it might be very, very valuable information in providing extra service or content, even leading to cross or upsell. So this can be based on a segmented way, but you can also personalize with it if you want to. You can build marketing automation flows. So there are a lot of tasks that are valuable but quite repetitive. And if I hear the word repetitive, I always think of automation. And with data, you can actually automate things. So by using triggers and events based on website data, you can automate these flows, so they always work for you and you don't have to put effort in them anymore. For example, if somebody puts a product in their shopping basket, but they don't proceed towards checkout and they leave the website, you can follow them up with an abandoned shopping cart email. So they get a notice like, hey, you put something in your shopping basket. Are you still interested in purchasing it? Yes or no? And that in the data, we also see that reminder usually leads to additional purchases. It might be a delayed purchase, but it is the extra signal to get Worldcomp and the shopping basket top of mind again. So this is short-term and revenue-driven, but it's a really simple example in how you can use data and automation to work for you actually. And if you would make this more complex, instead of just making email or using email, you can also integrate, I don't know, for example, advertising or on-site dynamic content to also be part of this journey to lead a customer to a desired goal. So that can be used. That's what for automation can be used. And something else is and this is based on like the long-term goal for Worldcomp, so the customer satisfaction. Because in this example, it's not clearly visible, but these are irrigation pumps, and irrigation pumps are quite costly products. And if you bought one, you probably won't buy one next year. So this is a customer you won't be likely to see in the next couple of years just for this product. But what we do is we send personalized emails with content based on the purchase behavior, with extra tips, tricks, and even service, for example, related to maintenance. So we still keep an engagement going with the customer, and with some after-sales support to promote the fact that we endorse customer value as our primary driver, just to show them we're there for you. If you need us, after all, you need tips, come visit us, but not with a short-term revenue goal behind it. So that's very valuable content for the segments we use it for. And the same goes for on-site personalization. So you can personalize everything, but you have to clearly think about where you're going to personalize what. So are you going to personalize someone's shopping basket? Like, okay, you've purchased several items before, or this is currently in your shopping basket. We have also advised you to purchase this. Or are you going to optimize your product detail pages or your lister pages with recommendations based on what other people usually bought together, since it usually relates to the same project, so we can offer bundles of products. Here you can also use Squeezely and Threadhopper together to get the most out of search, recommendations, and actual personalization based on data because of what other customers bought, or because of your personal purchasing history or browsing behavior, and to get tailor-made offers which should be more relevant and therefore also should increase your conversion rate, which in the end is one of the short-term drivers for Worldcomp. So those were some examples in a nutshell, and I think the key takeaways from the story of Frank and myself is that you have to become data-driven. If you want to become data-driven, you have to grow in various areas. Like Arjen already told, it's an organization thing. It's not just marketing. It's people. It's tooling. It's KPIs. It's everything. So don't underestimate the impact of working data-driven. And next to that, analysis. This analysis helps for automation. So start with the right steps. Don't go personalizing straight away if you aren't even able to segment currently. So make logical steps where you make a larger impact for the majority before you start tweaking like the little details and really start personalizing. Eventually, that becomes the most powerful, the most impactful for your results. But usually, the easiest optimizations for the majority can make just as much impact. And select best-of-breed tools for improved customer experience. So using tools like Squeezely or Threadhopper to boost your on-site performance, to gather data, to transform data, and also to make data actionable can be a huge advantage if you're a retailer. But you are dependent on the tools, how they work together, and how people can work with them. So don't underestimate the tools you use. So that's our story in a nutshell. Always we're currently wondering what your next step is, but thanks for your attention so far.
Well, thanks a lot, Frank and Martijn. I think it was very interesting to see how you bring everything in practice and especially tie it in with the use case from Jarola. There were a few questions that came in during the chat, during your presentation. If there are any more questions, please post them in the chat. If there's no time to answer them now, we will do it after the session, so we really want to hear from you. So a few questions came in, Martijn, while you were talking about the phase 1, the overall improvements of the websites. So someone was curious what tool or solution is used for monitoring?
For monitoring, we use different conversion rate optimization tools. So that can be Optimizely, Hotjar for the heat maps, Visual Website Optimizer. So different tools which can specifically be used to monitor the A/B tests. But usually when we run a big experiment, you can usually monitor it in a web analytics package as well. For example, Google Analytics. So if you start an A/B test, you should also see like an increase or decrease in Google Analytics on the data.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
I hope so too. And then there was another question about whether you use the Intershop A/B test feature, and I think that also ties in with another question of someone who was asking what tool or solution is used for A/B testing.
Yeah, I think I just mentioned most of them indeed. You should always look at the tool that fits your needs. So we use multiple tools, but we don't have specific tools to always use. We always look at the situation and which tools can be used there. So if the Intershop A/B testing functionality proves valuable for you, yeah, definitely try it. Just find out what suits your need.
All right. I think there was a question from here in the studio as well.
Yes, a question from my side. Who in the organization is actually responsible for this total process of getting data-driven? You said it is really their long-term vision, but who in their organization is the biggest supporter for all these developments?
Shall I answer that question, Martijn?
Yeah, that's a question for you, Frank, I think. Yeah.
Yes, because it is interesting that I think a couple of years ago, their founder and director basically read a book about AI and machine learning, and he said, "Okay, why aren't we doing anything with it?" And then he went to the marketing department and also to Thomas, stating like we should do more with this. And they said, "Well, we do something with it, but not in the entire company. But we can do more with it, and then maybe we can ask the new Zaak to help us grow and become more data-driven." And so now basically what we did for them, we laid out a step-for-step roadmap to help them become more data-driven as an entire organization. And this is basically driven by the main board, which are 3 members. And I have every quarter, I have a meeting with them about the roadmap and the next step to take. And basically, due to those 3 main influencers, we are step by step fulfilling the roadmap and making Jarola as a whole more data-driven. So that is where the responsibility lies now.
All right. And while you were talking, there was another question in the chat. Someone was wondering how long it took from initialization to going live. Maybe Martijn, you can answer that one.
Initialization of going live for what aspect precisely?
I don't know. Maybe the person who asked it can specify it very quickly in the chat. It was just his question.
Well, usually, thinking about A/B testing, for example, or segmenting, usually can be done quite quickly. So, for example, if I'm just describing the 3 main phases, like A/B testing can be up and running in like 2 weeks, 1-2 weeks. If it's about using tools such as Threadhopper and tools, it depends how much. If you have insight in your requirements already. So if you have very clear requirements, it's much easier to quickly select a tool, implement it, and start running. And then might be a couple of months, for example. But if you actually want to implement a customer data platform, yeah, you should take time for that, because there are so many flavors, so many requirements to take into account, especially because you're going to do things you can't do yet. So you have to think very clearly about what you want to be able to do into the future. And in this case, Frank was also involved in the selection procedure for Worldcomp, whereby we selected multiple tools and plotted them on the requirements list, and eventually Squeezely came out as the winner and has been implemented. But you need people from development to implement it, you need marketing, you need data, you need a whole lot of people. So this can easily take half a year, 3/4 of a year, but it really depends on, I think, the commitment of the organization in wanting to do this.
All right, I think that's very clear. And also in the meantime, it came through during the chat that it was about a data-driven approach and a customer-centric approach. And those were also all the questions that came in the chat. If there are any more questions, just don't hesitate to ask them. We can answer them later. And that's why I also really want to thank you, Martijn and Frank, for your presentation and all your interesting insights. I think it was very nice to hear how you're putting everything into practice and doing that at Jarola. So thanks a lot for that. And that's also why I want to go to the next part of the agenda, which is André from Zanika. So welcome to you, André.
Yeah, my name is André Herbst from Zanika, located in Overwaard near Cologne. Before I introduce myself, I want to talk about the company I work for. We are the largest owner-managed purchasing and marketing corporation in the office supplies industry in Europe. We are not one company or a franchise system. We have 500 different companies who are specialized in running offices. You won't see the brand Zanika except for some products we have in the market. Most of the time you will see different company names in Germany, but you won't find out they're related to Zanika. Our customers are 500 different companies with 500 different market approaches, 500 different solutions to run your office based on paper. We come from everything you need around paper, the folders, the shelves you put the folders in, file clamps, stamping, and all that kind of stuff. And we made a development into IT support and provide our 500 different customers with ERP and shop solutions. Our customers include well-known companies from all sectors. As full range single source supplier, we can offer not only office supplies, but also efficiency parts managed, which enables you to concentrate fully on the success of your core business, which means we developed our clients, and the clients developed from just selling paper and paper-related articles to everything you need to run an office. There's no office in the world with runs without coffee, for example. So we emerge in that market too, and we provide coffee solutions as well. I'm head of the IT business unit. In my unit, we concentrated all the solutions we provide our clients with, a little over 500. We have 1,000 contractors who provide our clients with articles for the sales system we run. But we also have a great variety of e-procurement shops, small, medium, large business. We have more than 25 years of experience with all these shop systems. I want to deep dive in it on the next slide. We have over 30,000 customers who buy at these 500 clients of ours with over 500,000 active users. You get software from us specially designed for the business case, not only the shop solution, but also an ERP systems. And we try to generate data out of these systems. We are in the very baby steps of doing that. First of all, we have to integrate 3 systems. SoProcure for large business e-procurement solutions, SoCommerce, which is our open shop system, and Shopware, which is for private customer shops only. These are three different shop systems we have to merge into Yourcommerce, which is our new product brand based on Intershop. This is the first step. But as the guys in the presentation before said, it's 30% IT and 70% change. Our organization is focused on these products as well, so are our clients. So what we have to do as well, aside of the technical things we have to do and the very large project to do all the technical transformation in the new shop system, we have to reorganize our company and our clients. First of all, we are in Germany, located in the EU, so we have to sign new contracts that we are allowed to use the data, because the 500,000 customer data, we don't use them right now. We don't use the sales information because we're not allowed to. There are 500 separate contracts. We are not allowed to do that. So this is the very first step. You need to be, you're allowed to do that. We change our data center to provide all the product information, because we not only provide the shop system, we also provide all the articles in the shop system. We have a different team which is creating this data and keeping them up to date. So we have to change that as well, because all the rules are located for or were created to produce print related catalogs and not online systems. We're implementing a new pricing model. Right now you get only one sales price in the shops, and we have a great variety of 500, as I said, clients. So one of them are online driven, the others are only driven in special contracts. So we need more variety in these kind of sales. We are starting in sales recommendation. So we try to gather all the data together in a proof of concept to use recommendation in the first step in the product detail page. And we establish a cross-functional team to train and operate this model. This is the very first step we take to enter this new field for us. And we establish the operational phase. 3 different systems emerged in one means we have to change our ways of dealing with the systems. We have to change the teams, the mindset, and how we run them. And I'm very interested in exchanging with people who face these challenges as well. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Andre, for your story. I think it also really proves how it's not just about IT, but also about the organization. I think that's a nice line in what we're hearing during the whole session as well. And I think you were talking about Intershop as well, and I think your story was clear thus far that there are no questions right now in the chat. But as for your last question or your last slides, if there are any answers to that or thoughts to it, just post them in the chat and we can talk about it in the community platform. And that's also why I want to introduce our last speakers, who are Chi and Niels from Intershop, who will give their expert view on the topic as well. Yeah. So Niels, we can't hear you right now. So can you maybe turn on your microphone? Maybe you're still muted.
Is Niels, hè?
So I've connected again. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you perfectly fine right now. All good.
Great. So then let's start again. Sorry about that. I was too long on mute probably. So yeah, I would like to give you a short summary about the Intershop position on data-driven intelligence. We generally follow the idea or the vision of autonomous commerce. So the idea of autonomous commerce is simple as like autonomous driving just for commerce. So with autonomous driving, your car automatically maybe adjusts the speed based on the cars in front or on the traffic regulations. And with autonomous commerce, you could, for example, automatically adjust the prices based on competitor prices or stock levels. So this is a simple example for that. And the relation to data-driven intelligence is that data-driven intelligence is basically the foundation for autonomous commerce. And autonomous commerce is for both, for the customer experience, but also for the merchant. So for the customer experience, it could be like a basket that is automatically pre-filled with the item the customer probably needs. But it's also for the merchant, for the sell side. And there, a good example could be, as shown in the next slide, could be like an Intershop co-pilot, like, ChatGPT. They come up with the whole co-pilot idea that's now in Power BI and Power Apps. Can you see my slide? I click again. Now, that is. Just focus on the right side. On the right side, you can see the co-pilot, and you could have, as Alan here in this example would be the e-commerce manager, you could interact with an AI bot. And in this case, Alan could just ask, hey, how's business today? And then the AI bot would answer based on real-time data that business is running good. I don't know, 162 orders have been placed. But some products are not selling so well. And then Alan could ask, hey, what products are underperforming? She would get the list of products, and she could even say, hey, create a promotion for, let's say, in this example, vegan protein bars, and give 10% discount. And then the AI assistant could say, yeah, I did that, and could even give some more recommendations. But this is just an example, and this is kind of the future, but I would like to show you what's available right now in the platform, what could be used instantly, what the main building blocks for data-driven intelligence are currently. So it would be great if I could see the next slide. Yeah. So we have three main components, and the left button, you see the AI Data Hub, because we know data is the most important thing for data-driven intelligence. We have the Spark AI search and personalization engine. This is then really to make use of the data in a really simple way, can also be used right now. And then on the right side, you see this whole world of third-party AI solutions, services, or custom AI services that you can build. And I'll briefly jump to the BI Data Hub. So next slide. Yeah, very good. So this AI Data Hub is actually just a simple data warehouse. The main purpose of it is to give the Intershop customers access to all the data that it's created in the Intershop application and services. So you have commerce management, you have order management, you have the front end, you have Spark with search terms. All this data is sent to the Data Hub, and this is the data warehouse. It's actually just a database with a data schema, a star schema, denormalized, very well suited for BI and AI. And this data can then be used for example, Power BI. Intershop also provides some Power BI templates for that, but we see that typically those dashboards, they have to be built very customer specific. So We just say, hey, you get the data and you can do your own dashboard, so that fit perfectly to you. You can also use any other analytics or reporting systems. You can send the data or use the data from your other data warehouse or from your customer data platform, as we have seen it, because that's also a good place to have the data. And you can do any AI, machine learning, or data science with that. And of course, the idea is also you can use the data directly, again, in a feedback loop, for example, for personalization. In this case here, this is the Spark engine. With Spark, you can connect multiple data sources. So that's also very important. It's not just Intershop data. You can combine it again with all the data that you have in your organization. You can bring the data into a knowledge graph, and on top of the knowledge graph, you create your search or personalization strategy and can then expose it as an API. And this API can then used again from the front end, the progressive app in the Intershop case. And the next slide, please. Then you still have a lot of opportunities because you can use the whole toolkit that's available now. This here is just a slide from Microsoft explaining what different flavors of artificial intelligence is available, from simple rule-based AI to machine learning, where you can automatically cluster your data, or deep learning using neural networks, now to generative AI such as ChatGPT. And you can, of course, combine all these ingredients and really create the perfect customer journey. And for some examples, I would now hand over to my colleague G.
Hi. So let's see if I'm a little bit more lucky with the clicker. We already heard some great examples, and I think this is also a good moment for me to pitch the deep dive that we do later this week. So Thursday, can't quite remember what time, but I thought it was 4 o'clock. We're doing a deep dive against these cases that they're now going to talk about briefly. So the first one is a very nice one. So Niels already explained, hey, once you have the data, we can do various things with it, and we can add also other tools to it. So one of the things we did was, in this demo, we can see that various keywords, we can look for synonyms using ChatGPT. So there are 2 APIs that are then used. One is quickly to ask Chat, hey, if I look for something with PC, what are other synonyms that I could use? And then quickly after, we process those keywords through a Spark API to make sure that the synonyms that are displayed actually give you search results. The second case, the second example that I'm going to touch upon is really similar to the Zanika example. Oh, hold on, this is the wrong order. Let me just go here. There you go. Is the case that also André Herbst of Zanika touched upon. Said, whoa, we have great sales data. We have years and years of sales data. We would like to put that to use, and what we do as Spark is we say, oh, okay, if you want to know what are good things to sell together, that's basically all in your sales data, and we can add boosting to it, we can personalize it, or we can make sure that it's the best possible cross-sell recommendation suitable for your segment. There are a lot of things that we can do once you have the data yourself. So these are the 2 examples that we'll cover in depth in the deep dive, and there are 1 or 2 more. So another thing you could do with the data is you can say, oh, if I have a lot of sales data, actually I can improve the way that my customers, my users, can navigate across my site. So rather than people having to make use of the search bar or of the menu, the category tree. We can also say, oh, well, if you're looking at towels here, then let's make sure that we present you the categories that are related to towels. And why do we know it's related to towels? Well, basically because, we have a lot of orders and order lines that tell us that people who buy towels, they also buy the sealants and they buy the glues, etc., etc. Yeah, this is an example of personalizing search. So one of the possibilities is to personalize search based on brand preference. Of course, that has to make sense. But in this case, for this wholesaler who sells construction materials and hardware, that makes a lot of sense. Because if you have a Festool drill, then the battery platform, you can use it for other Festool tools, but you cannot use it for Bosch tools. So basically, if you're more interested in Festool, it makes sense that whatever you look for, if there are Festool results, that those are presented then first. While if you have a preference towards Bosch, that your search results are ranked based on your brand preference there. Is it just personalization? No, you can do it on a personal level, which is, I think, great. But this is another example. Heutink, they provide primary, secondary education with means and materials. And what we do there is say, oh, okay, but if you're a primary school, you're probably more interested in other furniture than when you're secondary school. So what we'll do is we'll use the behavior of other people in the same segment to help you rank search results, navigation results, etc. For someone like you. I think these are really the examples I just want to touch briefly on. And as said, we will have a deep dive on the 22nd, so that's in 2 days at 4 o'clock. You can still sign up for that. And now I'm happy to hand it back to our lovely presenter.
Well, too bad. It's me. It's not Jill. Actually, you showed some. Thank you. You showed us some interesting examples. How difficult is it for organizations to work with it, with your solution, and what would you advise them to do?
So when you work with data and personalization, in particular the combination of the two, it becomes ever harder to apply common sense, to say, oh yeah, this is a result that we expect, that's a result that we don't expect. It is important to be able to get into the data and to analyze that. So there are individual skills of team people that are involved who say, okay, we would like to have a specialist. We would like to train someone to become more of a specialist. That's one. But the second thing that's really important is that you collaborate as a team. Because even if you understand the data, it can be hard to understand why customers are doing certain things. So I have had great conversations with customers that said, this doesn't make any sense. You present this together with that. And we say, well, you may have that opinion, but that's in the data. So rather than debating if that's correct or not, let's try to understand why people are doing that. And that requires cross-functional skills, meaning that you need to have people in that team, in your organization who say, okay, if that's what the data says, then also let's try to understand what kind of customer behavior goes with it. Okay,
so it's a kind of combination between artificial intelligence and human ingenuity. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely a word that we like to use. Human intelligence. It still exists.
Yeah, we prefer to use the word ingenuity because that says that it has to do with creativity, with not only being smart and intelligent and analyze your data, but also interpret it and add creativity to it. That's why we use the word ingenuity for that.
I'm happy to steal that word from you.
Okay, you're more than welcome. Thank you very much once again, and well, Jill.
Yeah, as Arjen already said, thanks a lot, Niels and Chi, for your view on the topic. And that already also almost marks the end of today's session. So as we heard a lot of interesting stories today, we quickly want to wrap up everything that we heard today during the session. So I'm going to give it back to you, Arjen.
Thank you. To wrap it all up, we actually see that technology is going to enable a lot, and as comes clear from the presentation, having your data in one place and actually have it in a cloud kind of solution is essential. But even more important than the technology is what your organization does. Have the understanding of well, all the difficult processes we were talking about today, how important they are to build that customer experience. And in particular, top management, and that's what we experience in our advisory work, that it always requires the commitment on the top level to see it. Like Jarola told us, it is the director or the owner that was interested in artificial intelligence and read a book about it. That is what drives it. So therefore, in relation to the topic of this session, you will receive a question later on. If you need any tools or assistance to convince your C-level, your directors to understand the importance of data and the fact that it's not something that happens outside or somewhere in a disclosed part of your organization, but it is actually your mentality and it is incredibly important. That's also why we would like to look at if we can do something for C-level and for CEOs to, well, really enhance the discussion and help you get along. I think we had a very nice session today, and I want to hand over to Jill to conclude and to look ahead to what we're going to do in the next session.
Yes, thanks a lot. And thanks again for all the speakers for today. I think we had a very interesting first session, and I very much look forward to everything that's still to come in all the next sessions. So as Chi already mentioned, there will be an Intershop deep dive this Thursday at 4 o'clock. So there you can still sign up. So if you're interested in how to master Intershop with big data, I encourage you to sign up. And then when it comes to the next session will be after the summer holidays. It will be on September 12th, and it will be about harnessing the potential of platforms in B2B e-commerce. And we really much look forward to seeing you there again. And I also really encourage you to go to the online community platform where you can find the recording of the session and where we continue the conversation on this topic and also start a conversation on the next topic. So I really hope to see you there, and I hope to see you in the next session as well. So thanks a lot.